Alright, so let's talk about what to do if you have to, for some reason, take the rear wheel off. The rear wheel hub has this cable that comes out of it that runs along here and up into the battery compartment, and then along the top of the battery it makes a loop right here, and then it goes down into the controller compartment, and these three connections, the phase wires and the hall sensors, come out of that cable. If all we have to do with the rear wheel is, for example, change a flat, then we don't need to get into the controller compartment, because with this slack that we have up here, we'll be able to disconnect the cable and pull enough slack out that we can pull the wheel right off the end and change it without worrying about disconnecting the hub from the controller. To do this, the first thing I would do is get all of this stuff out of the way, and then I would remove the battery to make room in the battery compartment to work with the cable and pull that slack out. We're going to take the battery off this top 3.0i. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery. This large plug is the power from the battery into the bike, and this smaller plug is for the charge port. Now the battery is disconnected. Next, I need to remove these 4 screws here. Delfast ships the bike with 4 very small Phillips bits, which are really easy to strip, so be careful as you take these out. Okay, I'm going to pull the screws here real quick. In all the bikes that I touch, I replace these screws with some better stainless steel screws that use a Torx bit instead of a Phillips bit, and that makes them a lot less likely to strip, and they stay a lot nicer. Alright, so now that I've got the battery panel off, I can just lift the battery right out of the bike. I've got my cable zip tied up into the bike here in several different places. So I'm going to take those zip ties off. So now here is my cable that goes from the hub motor up into the controller compartment. And as you can see, I've got a lot of slack. So if I continue to disconnect the cable here and here, now I can pull this slack down out of the battery compartment, and I've got plenty of room down here to be able to pull the rear wheel off. Rear wheel, I'm going to need to pull off these nuts that are on the axle bolt. This has a nice pair of stainless steel nuts that I've put on it, but when they ship, they come with some really soft nuts that are painted black, and these have a tendency to be painted and sometimes seized on, so be really careful as you pull them off that you don't strip them. So there's that one, and here's the next one. And now we'll have to do the same on the opposite side. So pull this and this. Now we want to be really careful as we work with these nuts that we don't end up shearing this little tab off that holds the rear fender in place. So we were able to pull the rear fender off just like that. And now we're down to the hub retention brackets. So these hub retention brackets hold the hub and prevent it from spinning back and forth as you get torque from the motor. They have these little screws on the end that allow you to tension the carbon fiber belt. So when we first take this off, these are stuck on here. They're just pressed in because of that tension in the belt. But if we pull hard on them, we can get it to snap off, just like that. And take that off and set it aside.
On the left-hand side of the bike, there's a Allen key down here at the bottom that locks this piece in. So we'll need to loosen this, and then we can pull that plate off right off that side as well.
So now the hub, the rear wheel is loose, back off the belt here, and we can simply pull the belt aside and get it to turn right off chainring and remove it. Now before I remove the rear wheel, I'm going to put this back stand in place so that it can hold the bike up after I pull the rear wheel off. So now that I've got all that done and the cable loose here and all the zip ties off, I can simply pull the rear wheel right off, set this down on the table, and do what I need to with the rear wheel of the bike.